Today's episode is brought to you by Starbucks Ready to Drink Coffee. Tune in to Moments That Matter with the uplifting boost of Starbucks Mocha Frappuccino chilled coffee drink. Available now online or wherever you buy groceries. I hate gift giving and receiving.
Receiving gifts is so weird. What do you say? Thank you?
This is Coffee Convos with Kail Lowry and Lindsie Chrisley.
I really want you to be in your feels, Kail.
That does not interest me whatsoever.
I feel very attacked by you.
A spirited discussion about motherhood, friendship, family, and life in the public eye.
I'm just not with the fakery anymore.
There's a fakery bakery around here.
Here's Kail and Lindsie.
Well, hello.
Hey, girly.
That was the most anticlimactic, hello.
Well, because I meant to take Excedrin before I came to the office, and I'm still struggling from, the migraine situation that I had during camping, and I'm recovering still. So,
Wait, I got to tell you about something. So on the Southern Tea, Jackson did this little interview, and people were sending me messages about how he says stuff. And do you write down the things that your kids say that is the wrong way of saying it, but it's so cute?
No, I need to write them down, and I don't. But the ones that I love so much, I haven't forgotten.
Okay. Jackson calls a migraine a migrate.
A migrate?
Yeah. He'll say, I think I'm getting one of those migrates.
Yep. You're definitely getting a migrate for sure.
You're giving me a migrate. Everything about this. Good morning, Coffee Convos podcast, Kitty Gang, regular listeners, all the folks. Do you want to know what I was doing right before I hopped on this recording?
I think skincare because it's glowing.
You know what? My waxer also said that. She was like, your skin is glowing. I need to know what you put on it. And I'm like, ma'am, it's vitamin C and don't forget it.
Wait, so is that a serum?
Yeah. And it's so good. And it just makes your skin look like a glazed donut. I was just getting my lips ripped. So
what?
I was getting my
wax.
Lips ripped. Yeah.
Oh, since we were talking about skincare, I thought your lips on your face, and I was like a mustache waxing, or what is that? And then I thought about it and got it.
No, honey.
Picking up what you're laying down.
My butthole, my lips, the whole confection down there.
Yeah.
I have talked about waxing and not waxing so many times, and I feel like I keep circling back to it. It's a commitment.
Yeah.
And you have to be committed to having a couple of straggly hairs. When you get on week 3, you have to be committed to leaving them.
No, see, that's where you have me fucked up. And I think I just, you know what? I saw a girl on TikTok last night. I sent it to Elijah, and it's this woman is in a relationship. She decided she's no longer shaving or trimming or doing any of that. And her armpit hair is literally longer than Elijah's. And I sent it to him because that's kind of where I'm headed. I just don't have it in me to why is being a woman so much maintenance? I'm tired of
it. It's really hard. And I feel the expectation on women is so much more than men. Do you not ever wish that you were a man for one day where you could just go and get in the shower, get out, dry off, flick a towel around your head for a second, brush your teeth, put on a pair of athletic shorts and a t-shirt and roll out?
No, literally, my 5-year-old took a shower this morning, did his whole routine in 5 minutes. This man put lotion on his knees, deodorant. He doesn't even need deodorant. Used my moisturizer on his skin, brushed his hair, put his boxers on, and was like, all right, I'm going outside.
And
what?
Don't you wish you could live that life, though?
I wish. But I'm wearing a sports bra in my office right now, so that's a plus. But nobody else is here, so.
Well, outside of that, do you see my face other than it looking like a glazed donut?
Yeah, you look like you were crying.
Yeah, I have cry face. Mainly because, and I'm just gonna get into it. Mainly because I have communication issues that I didn't realize that I actually have. And I've always thought that I was a really good communicator, but being overly communicative, I think that's the way you say the word, about certain things that don't matter, and not communicating about things that actually do, does not equate to you being a good communicator.
So explain that a little bit, because I'm not tracking.
I will communicate overly about small little things that probably don't mean a hill of fucking beans.
What
and
the
then,
fuck is a hill of beans, Lindsie?
I don't know. I just feel like that's something my grandmother used to say growing up. Like, it don't mean a hill of beans. I will not communicate if I have like an actual issue or like something's bothering me. Like, let's say it's like relational. If something's bothering me, like I'll just like let something like fester. And then it's like goes from 0 to 100. Like, it's not like I will address something in a calm way because I'm at 100 by the time I communicate about it.
Actually just went through something like this. So that sounds...
You did?
Yes, I did.
So tell me a little bit more about it. Can you share with the class?
I will share with the class. So I had the displeasure of reading text messages about someone's feelings about me, negative feelings, sly remarks, just like digs. And instead of like calmly addressing the situation, I let it fester. And then I was just like, we're done. We're done here. We're not doing this. I'm not doing this. And you can get the fuck out.
I think that we truly are. A lot of it, I think, has to do with just the fact that we're conditioned in the career that we're in to like hold everything together. And then you finally get to a point where you can't do it and then you blow. Because not that I want to say you like fake it till you make it, but kind of. Like,
because I won't have a problem talking about, for example, the shitstorm that occurred this morning. And I even recorded something I want to post on my story, but like, I had no problem communicating to everyone in the house. I even wrote it down last night, like what needs to be done today, communicated to all the kids that they needed to be up. And there are certain things that need to be done before they go to their dads. Calmly said it, made the list. It was fine. I had no problem communicating that. But then this other thing that should have been like an actual conversation and kind of thought through.
Like a conversation instead of a blow up. And I think that that what you just described is exactly what I was trying to describe. Like, I can effectively communicate about like small things. Like if we're talking about laundry or like plans for dinner or what time I'm going to be somewhere or my work schedule, you know, like those things, I have no issue.
Yep.
I think it is things that I have an emotional attachment to. So like if it causes me to have some type of an emotional response and I'm like bothered by that, I can't communicate well.
So what do we do to fix this? Because obviously
I expect though that people understand how I am feeling.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. Did you fart?
No, it was my throat.
Your throat farted. No, I expect people.
No, 100%. I'm here with you, and I'm literally feel the exact same way. I expect you to understand how upset this makes me and why it upsets me the way that it does. Like I fully expect that you to understand that.
And like why and then is no one getting it?
And then they don't.
Yeah.
But why?
And I'm like, well, you should just understand. Okay, I'll tell you a little example. Okay, so we get home from the beach. And I've driven like 7 hours on the road and get home, start immediately unpacking. And I don't know where like this switched, but I used to not be like a great unpacker whenever I was married. I just like left the shit everywhere and it was like, you know, whatever. Like now, because I know that I'm the sole person that's going to have to be looking at the shit, I'm like, okay, I actually need to get this unpacked. And also I'm planning for another vacation. So I can't have like bullshit on top of bullshit. So I come home, I start unpacking. I go to the Chick-fil-A, get myself a kale salad, call my nanny. Haven't talked to her in a couple of days. So I was like trying to catch up with her, all these things, go to bed. And I watched that documentary that you told me about, the Maya one. What's it called?
Take Care of Maya.
Take Care of Maya. So start watching that. And I'm just like laying in the bed, relaxing. My boyfriend, and you know what? I'm going to stop calling my boyfriend. I'm just going to say Trent. Trent calls me the next
just hearing you say my boyfriend on the last episode and now, like, it's so weird.
Why?
I don't know.
Why is that weird?
It was just, I went to say that last week when we recorded, but it sounds so weird.
I get sick of people saying stuff like, oh, why can't Lindsie just say his name? Okay, well, his name's Trent. So he calls me yesterday and I'm like, I need to go to the gym. Like I slept in. whatever. He's like, okay, I'm going to be on my way over. So he goes, what do you want to do? Go to the pool? And I'm like, we literally just came back from a vacation with 3 kids at a pool for the last 4 days. The last thing that I want to do is to go and sit and see other people's children playing at a pool. No offense, like, to anybody else's kids. First of all,
No,
yes,
full offense to everybody
full
else's
offense.
kids.
I don't like other people's kids unless they're my friends' kids.
Right.
Or my kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't want to be around them. And I'm like, we were just like piled up with 3 kids and then saw all these children on this vacation. The last thing I want to do is do that. Like, I want to go and eat Mexican and watch fireworks. And I've also washed my hair. So if you really think that like I'm going to take this lion's mane out to the pool, and like I had to go into this like long spiel instead of it just being like, I don't want to go to the pool.
I understand that. And why don't they know that? Like, why?
Because I have this expectation in my mind
that everyone thinks like this. Like,
yes,
everyone would use their common sense, but like common sense is not common. So.
Yeah. And he legitimately just like wanted to go to the pool and sit. And I'm like,
why?
I love that. But we just got home from sitting for 4 days. We're coming home for 3 days. And then we're going back and we're going to sit our asses at the pool again for 4 more days. So like, why are we going to sit at the community pool July 4th at a community pool? Like,
sounds like actual hell.
Yeah. Sounds like something I'm not involved in.
I'll send the grandparents and the kids. That's something that I'm not going to participate in. So.
No. So just got back from my beach trip. And why is traveling with kids so chaotic? Because it stresses me out. And I'm not stressed when I get there. It's like the lead up to get there. Do you feel this?
Well, if I'm being perfectly honest, Elijah did all the work for our camping trip. So I took a nap with Biggie because it was his nap time when we were like packing up and going. So I can't relate to that. The younger ones I feel a lot of stress with because you just never know what they're going to do or like need.
At what age can you start trusting your children to pack for themselves, that they're going to bring the right thing?
I made all my kids pack themselves except for Biggie and So Isaac, Lincoln, and Lux pack their own stuff. I give them a list, go pack it, I'll check it, and then we're good to go. Now, did Lux bring sandals or Crocs? No, he didn't. So what did he have to do? He had to wear sneakers the entire time. That's not my problem. And that to me was a natural consequence. Next time you'll bring your fucking Crocs.
I actually love that. But I just don't know if I'm going on vacation that I'm willing to do the natural consequence thing, because that's also like, I feel like I'm suffering.
Right. No, and I get that. But I will say that camping is a little different than like what you did. Because if I'm going to the beach, that would not sound great to me, having to wear shoes. But because we were camping, first of all, my kids love being barefoot. It's the white trash in us. And we all love to be barefoot. And Lux doesn't care, and he also did not give a single fuck that he didn't have Crocs. So it backfired more on me thinking it was a natural consequence, and it wasn't because he didn't give a fuck. So
natural consequence only applies if they care about it. So like if he doesn't care that he's missing his Crocs, the only person that's suffering is you by not seeing him in Crocs and having to see him walking around like a skis and tennis shoes at a campsite. So we love that for Lux.
I didn't let it faze me either. This episode is brought to you by IQ Bar. Now get 20% off every IQ Bar product plus free shipping when you text combos to 64,000. We love IQ Bar. We've talked about it for, weeks now, probably months. These are super diet friendly with no weird ingredients, which is something that's really important to us. I think we've talked about like red dyes, things like that, just aren't probably really good for us or our kids. And I just want to focus on eating healthy, quality foods. This is perfect, especially in the summertime when you're on the go. And Lindsie put me onto these. I put Kristen onto these. Everybody should be eating IQ bars.
The most theft that happens in my house, honestly, are people thieving my IQ bar. I know if it's every diet, keto, paleo, vegan, gluten-free, all of them. So truly IQ bar is for everyone. So I understand why people would want to steal them from me. They taste great, but but they're packed with healthy, functional ingredients for your body and your brain. Sometimes I do it for like a grab and go breakfast if I'm like trying to rush out the door. You can do pre or post workout snack, 3 p.m. slump preventer when you're at your desk. I know Kristen often tells me that she's eating an IQ bar midday. And my favorite flavor is the peanut butter chip. I don't know what yours is, Kail, but if you've never tried IQ bar, I would highly recommend getting the variety pack where you can try all of the 7 mouthwatering flavors. You will not believe when you taste it, but it is true. They have next to no sugar or net carbs, and it is the #1 brain and body protein bar in the US with over 10,000 5-star reviews and hundreds of thousands of happy customers. So basically, go and get yourself an IQ bar. Create that feeling of finally discovering a truly nutritious bar that actually tastes good. Now you can get 20% off all IQ bar products, plus get free shipping. To get your 20% off, just text Convos to 64,000. Get your discount, text Convos to 64,000. That's Convos to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. I have a photo because I packed everything, packed the whole car, packed every item that went into the car. I called Jackson from upstairs. He's upstairs playing Fortnite, runs his tablet, slap ass dead. After being told to plug your tablet in and let it be at 100% for our drive. He comes downstairs with a dead tablet. It sounds like a war's going on upstairs with Fortnite. Just don't understand. So he comes downstairs and I say, do you have everything that you need? This is what he packed. Do you see that ball? That was what he packed? That was the one thing that he packed. Mm-hmm. I said, get in the car. Get in the fucking car.
Wait, so what did you do?
I packed all of his stuff, but he came downstairs and he was like, I'm ready to go. Like, he had no idea that I had packed all of his stuff. I was like, you got all your things ready? Ma'am.
Good. I'm so glad that you already had his stuff packed, because I would have lost it. I would have been like, we're not going.
Sir.
So that was his things. But maybe he trusted that you packed his stuff for him. Like he
Look at
knew.
His face.
Oh, he's proud of himself. He's so proud of himself. I think he knew you had his back. I think he was like, oh, mom got this.
Okay. And remember my story about me losing air in my tire? Do you remember me telling you about that at the car wash? I lost the air in my tire and had to like blow it up with a portable thing.
I feel like maybe, my memory is not great.
I definitely told you about it, but I had that little portable thing in the car and I'm blessing him out going down the road. At this point, it got Will Campbell on the phone and I'm like, can you believe the audacity that our son had to run his tablet fucking dead? And now we're on the road with no charger. And Will's like, yeah, he's an idiot. I'm literally pulling off on the side of the highway. Like the cars are like flying by. The car's literally shaking on the side of the highway. I'm in the back looking for the tire blow up thing because I'm like, oh, I think that has like a charger thing on there too. Kid you not, he had to charge that thing the entire way with that tire blow up thing. And I was like, I swear, like if we leave the hotel, whenever we go to get back in this car and you have to use this device because you were too sorry to charge your tablet, I'm throwing the tablet out the window.
My biggest thing too is when my kids I know that some people don't care. I care about this. I don't know why I care about this. I cannot stand when my kids wait until their phones, well, they don't have their phones right now, but their phones, their tablet, whatever they're using dies. They plug it in and then they use it the whole time it's plugged in.
Oh, I know.
It irks my soul.
I'm just like, if you ran it that slap dead, you just, like, you've been on it enough. Like, if your 100%. Shit is literally dying at noon
You've been
and
on
it was
too long.
Charged all night, you've been on it too long. So for those reasons alone,
I'm out.
Get away from the wall outlet.
Get away. I mean, that goes for our phones too. Like, I
guess we do it. Like,
yeah, we do. I mean, but I really try not to use my phone when it's on the charger unless I absolutely have to. It's just because something, I don't know what it is that irks my soul, but.
Isn't it so bad for you to do that?
I don't know. I don't like it. I probably read something or saw something that made me like go down this way, but.
I I tell you about this article that came out from last week's episode of Coffee Combos?
Yeah.
So I talked about, or basically I just owned the fact of blocking my siblings on social media. And I didn't think it was that big of a deal. Like, this has happened many of times before. This isn't the first time we've had like an unfollowing spree, not the first time we've had family issues. My parents aren't here to referee. So I just feel like we all kind of are rogue and just do whatever we want to do and handle situations the best that we know how. But I see this People magazine article come out, and it says Lindsie Chrisley admits she and her siblings can be petty with each other, as source says they are not fine. So I think I know who the source is. And is that not always like weird? Is that like not the weirdest feeling when you talk about something, you're honest about something, and then you have people coming out of the woodwork talking to People magazine or like whoever as a source? It's like, don't be a fucking coward. Like,
if you're ballsy enough, from my perspective, if you're ballsy enough to go to an outlet, because first of all, they're not paying. They don't pay anymore. They haven't paid probably since 2013. If you are ballsy enough to go to an outlet, a tabloid, a magazine as a source, put your dick on the table and just say who you are and let them use your name. Because 9 times out of 10, we know who it's coming from. So just put it all out there. Slap your dick on the plate and show them.
Literally slap the whole dick down. Like,
balls and all. Like,
balls and all.
We probably know who you are.
Oh, I know.
So it's just like, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Like, just fucking say who you are, because we probably already know.
I just want to say to this person, because I know that they're listening, you are a fucking coward. You're a fucking coward. And if you go to another magazine and give a statement and you give it as a source, I'm calling your ass out.
Well, there you have it.
I'm calling your ass out, because also just so you know, when people give statements to media outlets, maybe try not to sound like your fucking self.
I love reading quotes and you're just like,
right? And you're like, I know who said that.
You're like, wait, this is a direct fucking quote, and I know who talks like this. Like, yes. I know. Or I love the sources. I love the sources who have like a half truth, like they know part of something.
Yeah.
And they go to an outlet and it's like, bitch, I know I only told you half the story.
Like, exactly. Like, you act like I was born yesterday. Like, I told you part of the story for a fucking reason.
Love that for us.
Also, I'm just going to clear this up. To say that my siblings and I are fine, are we communicating right now? No, we're not, because you fucking blocked. So, no, we're not communicating. So, yes, like, no, we are not communicating. But as far as, like, there being any beef or, like, anything being said or anything going on, to my knowledge, not from my side, like, there's nothing. I just address the fact, if people want to say, oh, I noticed, like, they're not following each other, because you go and look at who we're following, which, I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, that's weird also, but, you know, to each their own, like, do whatever you want to do.
Why do people do that? People do that to me all the time with like friend fallouts. They'll be like, oh, Kail and so-and-so aren't following each other. Like,
it's like, how do you know that? Because I don't even know that.
Should we start a whole thing where me and you unfollow each other and like post like, what do they call it? A sneak diss? Should we post sneak diss at each other and see if anyone picks up on that?
What's it called?
Is it a sneak diss? Isn't that like with like a subliminal, like a subtweet or like
a subtweet? Yeah, that's funny.
I'm gonna start doing that and see if people are like, wait, Kail and Lindsie aren't friends.
We can bamboozle the whole crew,
all the trolls.
But no, are we communicating right now? No, we're not. Do we need to communicate right now? No, we should not, because my therapist has said, if you have nothing nice to say to somebody, don't communicate. Like, it's going to do no good unless you can be solution oriented whenever you come to the table. Then step away. So That's what I'm doing. I'm stepping away. I don't have shit to say. Just
Power
know,
in the cause, lady.
You coward fuck. that went to People magazine.
Wait, can you text me who it was?
Yeah. And this is the quote. Lindsie's comments come as a source tells people that the siblings are not fine, adding, it's a false narrative. No, the only thing that's a false narrative, the only thing that's a false narrative is you fucking talking. Say what?
The name?
Oh, okay. Are you ready for me to tell you who it is?
Yeah. I didn't expect that.
If I had a dick, I'd slap it on the table. I'd slap the whole confection on the table.
Why not just like comment on the situation? Like who can't like just say what it is? Like
Just
why did
say
you have
it.
to
Like stop being shady. And listen, actually, I'll just get into this too. The whole reason that we got in an argument was because I posted a bingo card of some like haters or fans or something like that of Chrisley Knows Best. And on this bingo card, it had like, I'll send it to Kristen and she can help us like crop it and stuff so that it can get posted the right way. But this bingo card had all this bullshit on there about my family. And it literally was just like a shit talking bingo card. And it was like on one of the squares, it was like, Lindsie's going to have 3 baby daddies. And I'm like, first of all, I'm 33 years old.
You're
and
like,
I was
wait, that's
married.
my co-host.
I was married for a decade and doesn't look like I'm having more kids right now. So no, but that's funny. So I post this bingo card and it's like talking about my parents being incarcerated and then like somebody getting a DUI and the next person to get arrested and like all this stuff. I literally thought, okay, that's kind of funny. You know, like these people are freaking whack. But like, I'm going to go with it. And that kind of comes with the territory, right? Like if you live a public life, you kind of have to take certain things in stride. And it's like, okay, if they want to say that I'm going to have 3 baby dads, like they're allowed to have whatever opinion that they want to have, but I'm going to respond to this.
Yeah.
So I tag my siblings in it and I'm like, hey, it would be a funny podcast episode to go through each of these squares and talk about if this is like likely or unlikely for this to happen.
That would be a really good episode.
Yeah, it would be funny. And so then I get a scathing group text about how I need to remove it from my social media. And I'm like, okay, first of all, is your name Lindsie Chrisley? Because if it's not, then don't tell me what the fuck to do. Secondly, it was funny. Like, I'm sorry that you clearly don't have a personality right now at this moment.
Why were they offended by it? He or she?
I don't know, because I guess it said something about my parents being incarcerated. And it's like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure that the world knows. Like, I was just going to try to debunk all of the stuff because a majority of the stuff on there, I'm not going to say that everything on there was untrue, but a majority of the stuff on there was untrue. So I was just going to be like, hey, like, this is untrue. And this is why that this does not make sense. This is untrue. And this is why this does not make sense. This, in fact, could possibly happen. Like, I think that would be funny.
I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but maybe some people use humor to, you know, cope and other people can't. Yeah. And so maybe that's where y'all are different right now.
I feel like I've always used humor to cope.
I have dark humor about my trauma, like Boozy Susie. Like,
yeah,
I'm fucking traumatized from my childhood, but I have to make myself laugh to get through it because otherwise I'm like, I don't want to stay in it. You know what I mean? Like if I can't change it, and unfortunately things can't be changed or made better all the time, sometimes you just got to laugh your way through it. But maybe just to play devil's advocate, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's the difference.
And, you know, using humor in a serious situation is likely a trauma response, right? Like when I saw it, it offended me as well to some degree, but I kind of took it in stride and I was like, okay, we can
make
fun
funny.
with this.
Yeah,
like,
make a funny out of it.
Yeah. And so that was my whole intention. And then people just got pissed. So I was like, okay, well, if you're just going to be committed to being pissed and committed to hating me, then I'm going to be committed to blocking your ass.
And so that's just the way it has to go sometimes, unfortunately.
So then that's what happened. And then we moved the heck on.
I have one question though. I watched, you know how sometimes if you're looking at like stories on Instagram and like when it comes to the end, you might not realize it and it flips to the next story.
Yes. Yeah.
So I was doing that, and there's always ads in between them. But anyway, so I get to, it rolls over to Savannah's.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't reply to her thing, but she opened a cabinet and there was like a light in the way. Did you see this?
No.
Okay, well then I'm not going to ask. I was going to say, what was that
No,
about?
tell
But it was like, so, I didn't know, maybe is she in real estate or something? Because,
Yeah.
okay, then that makes sense. Because she was like opening a cabinet and the light like hit, and it was just like something about like planning out certain things better. But I was just like, unless she's buying a house, like what is, but now that it makes sense. If she's in real estate, that's probably why.
She is in real estate. Even though my siblings and I aren't talking right now, if you need a home in Nashville, contact Chrisley and Co.
Coffee Combos Podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Most of you listening right now are probably multitasking, so while you're listening to us talk, you're probably also driving, cleaning, exercising, or maybe even grocery shopping. But if you're not in some kind of moving vehicle, there's something else you could be doing right now. Getting an auto quote from Progressive Insurance. It's easy and it could save you money by doing it right from your phone. Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save nearly $700 on average, and auto customers qualify for an average of 7 discounts. Discounts for having multiple vehicles on your policy, being a homeowner, and more.
So just like your favorite podcast, Progressive will be with you 24/7, 365 days a year, so you're protected no matter what. Multitask right now. Quote your car insurance at progressive.com to join the over 29 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $698 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2021 and May 2022. Potential savings may vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations.
Let me talk to you guys really quickly and Lindsie about the Starbucks ready to drink. I got an entire box delivered to my house and I couldn't be more stoked about it because I can just grab and go. And I love the freaking sound of the bottle when you pop the cap open.
Starbucks ready to drink coffee is something else, so much so that I have lined them up in my refrigerator because not only do I love how they taste, but I aesthetically love how they look. And in the lineup in my refrigerator, I have noticed that either one other person or multiple other people have taken pulls off the top of all of the different flavors in my refrigerator. So they did a little sampling and they were the ones that got to enjoy listening to that pop top.
Oh, okay. We love that. So we love the Starbucks Frappuccino chilled coffee drinks. I even love getting them at the stores and like opening them in the stores while I'm shopping. Tractor Supply has them in their little like cooler up front. So I like grab them and then I go look at the little chicks and I get stuff for my dogs. And it's just a good time. So if you guys want, you need to order these online. You can get them online or you can get them anywhere you buy groceries.
I absolutely love having a grocery drink as well. If I'm going to have to do that, I should also be able to enjoy it while I'm doing it. And with the fast pace of everyday life and how hard it is to prioritize time with the ones you love, this delivers an uplifting boost and helps you tune into the moments that actually really matter. So Starbucks coffee ready for right now. Shop the full lineup online or in stores wherever you buy groceries. Okay, so I saw this one video and I want to tell you about it.
Shut the fuck up. Just shut up.
What?
It's just the way that you said that. Like, yep, that's the name. Contact them. Definitely do that. And then moving on. Like, what?
Obviously, I'm just not well. Okay, so I saw this one video and it said, in dating, sometimes your type is the reason that you're miserable. You tend to dig your trauma into your traumas and look for those same characteristics for someone you couldn't save in other people.
Yeah,
Constantly
obviously.
Looking for relationships that resemble things that we wanted in someone else, your type becomes your downfall. That's when you see something healthy in someone. When you see something healthy in someone, we reject it. We aren't used to seeing healthy, only used to seeing hurt. An example would be, I was dating this really nice guy, but he was boring. Or men are so emotional now. It comes from dealing with highs and lows and bad relationships, and also being used to someone we are dating being so cold and not giving validation or attention. So used to being dragged down that the moment we see something healthy, it doesn't register until you start dating trauma and move into a healthy relationship. You're going to continue dating out of a hurt place. Stop looking for your type and start looking for your purpose.
Yeah, this is, I mean, that is the epitome of Kail and the chaos, right? Like, comfort doesn't always mean healthy. Comfort doesn't always mean safe. Comfort can just be what you're used to. my childhood was so fucking chaotic that I lived for chaotic relationships. So even though Joe, for example, was not from a chaotic household, our relationship was chaotic. Same thing for Javi, you know, to some degree, our relationship was chaotic, and that's not healthy, but it was comfortable because it's what I was familiar with. I was living, you know, I've been living in fight or flight my whole life. So it would be weird. And I had an episode on Coffee Combos podcast with Katie Morton where she said, you want to be with someone who's boring. And obviously not boring to the point where you guys have nothing in common, but there are no highs and lows because you guys are not having these extreme fights with all these, you know, chaotic things. And so sometimes I sabotage like my relationships because I'm like, I can't do this. And when it boils down to like the actual root of the problem is like, there's actually nothing wrong. I just am bored.
It's like picking a fight because you have nothing else to do, you know, and it's, well, because this is what I did in my last relationship and this was toxic. So I obviously need to do it in this one because this is what I'm used to. This is what I'm comfortable with. If we're not fighting, does that mean that we don't love each other? And I think because I fought so much with Will, I wouldn't say in the end, because the fight just got over, right? It was like, it's not, you know, it's bad when you no longer care to fight about anything, that you're just willing to do whatever to just like be away from that person. It got to that point. But before it got to that point, it was just like nonstop fighting and arguing. And it became such a normal thing that I feel like I didn't know how to operate outside of being that way.
Yeah. Yep. Sounds about right.
And then finally had a mental break and just broke down. And then once that happened, it was kind of like, okay, this is actually over. And I think a lot of times when you have had toxic relationships, it's really hard to be in something healthy because that healthiness that's coming from that relationship feels very like, are we just going through the motions? Are, you know, we don't have anything to fight about. So does that mean that we actually don't love each other? Like, it causes you to question and be insecure.
Just to piggyback off of that too, I have struggled with two relationships specifically where they love the fuck out of me and I cannot stand them. Like
Tell me more.
I'm laughing, but it's not funny. Like, it's really not funny. Like, they love me so much, like literally would kiss the ground I walk on, and I'm disgusted with their love for me. Why are you laughing? I'm being dead serious.
Will you text me the people's names? Actually, just say them and they can be bleeped out.
Okay. One of them.
Okay.
And,
not shocked.
I don't want to, like, I'm going to say nickname because if I say the whole name, it will be, like, you'll know.
Okay.
Like, it's just disturbing. Like, why do you want to be this close to me? Like, used to hold my feet and like tell me how gorgeous my feet are and like how much he loves me and just like,
okay,
back up. I don't want you in my space and you're grossing me out.
Okay, but do you feel like maybe physical touch and that way because that person genuinely like loves you so much that you're uncomfortable with it because you didn't have it in your childhood? Even
if they didn't touch me and they would just like express their love to me, I hate it. Don't tell me that. Don't compliment me. Don't even look at me with puppy eye. Like, I'm disgusted.
Okay, what if did this?
I ask myself that all the fucking time. I promise you, I ask myself that all the time. And I truly believe if he did, if I got him to that point where he was like, I swear I'm never going to cheat on you again. I'm going to love you for eternity. I wouldn't want him anymore.
I think that's a lie. I think you're a straight up liar for that.
No, I really believe that
I think a lot of it was about the chase and that relationship and just like the addicted to like the unhealthy relationship.
The highs and lows. Yeah,
because it's what you knew and it's what you grew up with. And when you see dysfunction, you know, it's toxic cycles and patterns that repeat themselves generationally, right? But I do think that you did love him.
Oh, I did. More than anything on the planet.
You were in love with him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that I'm not going to say the next thing I was about to say.
He didn't love me back. You can say it. It doesn't hurt my feelings now.
No,
if you had said that 5 years ago, I would have bawled my eyes out.
I don't think that's necessarily true either. I think he didn't love himself enough to properly love you.
Wow.
And, you know, you can't make somebody love you if they don't love themselves.
Right.
And that's a hard reality. But yeah, I think if that person that I just said did that shit to you and were rubbing on your feet, telling you how they look like diamonds and shit, you would have loved every part of that. You probably would have been like, get the fuck away from me, but like, stay.
Like we would have been one of those where the girl is like, me. Yeah. Mm-hmm, me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe.
But also maybe after some time I wouldn't. I don't know. I really don't know.
Why are relationships so freaking weird?
I don't know. And it is weird. It's really fucking weird. They're all weird. And it's crazy because when we went camping, our friends that we went camping with, they've been married 18 years together for 20. And like they were telling me like the certain dynamics that they have and like the structure of their relationship. And I was like, wow, like that makes so much sense. Like you really are committed to this. I want to get to that point, but I just like, I don't know if I'm capable of it.
I mean, I think if your life's chaotic because you have so many kids. So these people have a lot of kids.
They have 2 children.
Okay, that's the difference. I feel like you are so stretched thin when you have your kids and you're trying to juggle a relationship too, because you're trying to give time everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's easier to focus on something when you have, I don't want to call kids distractions, but you know, like less distraction.
They are. I mean, to a relationship to some degree.
Yeah, like it's easier to focus on it. Like for me, I just have Jackson. So when I don't have him, it's just me. And it's easy to focus and put a full focus on a relationship because I have the security knowing that like Jackson's safe with Will. And for you, I feel like you have so much going on with your kids going like all different directions. Then you have multiple kids with multiple dads like in the house when you have them all. And that's just a lot. And I feel like a lot of couples that raise children, if they make it through the child rendering or rearing ages, if your marriage survives that, first of all, you're one strong motherfucker.
Facts. And I don't care if that's 1 kid or 12 kids.
I don't care.
No.
You're strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your marriage is strong. You made it. And kudos to you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of people kind of like get into this lovey-dovey phase. Like once their kids get a certain age where they've kind of like done their job and then they can focus like less on that because that's all taken care of, where they can go into their relationship, like a different phase of their relationship and be like, wow, like we have arrived.
Actually saw on Reddit, there was like a thread of this husband saying, God. Did you see it?
No.
It was like, I love my wife more than my kids. I can never love my kids as much as I love my wife. And some people in the comments were saying like, that's the way it should be. And other people were saying like, you can't compare because they're different. Like you're not romantically in love with your children. You love them as a parent, as a provider, as, you know, you carried them or you made them. And your wife is like your lover. Like they're just not comparable.
I mean, I can only say from lived experience, if I was still married, I'm confident that Will would always choose Jackson over me and I would always choose Jackson over Will. I'm
choosing my kids over any fucking buddy. Over like, their dads, over their, I don't care.
Come correct, because there is no competition.
I do have this thing where like, I just don't know, and this is morbid, it's going down a very morbid path, but like, if something happened to one of my kids, I would never be the same. And so I think about like the parents who have lost like a child and they still have to go on for their other children. Like,
I know. I could not even imagine.
Like for that, I might as well just take us all out because I don't think any of us will be the same.
You know, my dad was actually one of 3 boys. He was the oldest and then had his brother who's still living, Randy, and then a little brother, Derek, who passed away when he was like 6 months old.
No.
And I don't know anything about that because that obviously was like way before my time. whatever, but to just know the stuff that my nanny has been through, not only with like my papa, but then losing a child and then like now my parents, you got to be built really strong. And I just don't know that like I would be cut out to.
I'm not cut out. Nope. I'm not. Nope. Take me out too.
And maybe, you know, I feel like maybe you are stronger than what you think you are. And everybody would say like, I'm not cut out for that. I don't know of any person or any parent that would be like, oh yeah, I'm cut out to like lose my child. I think we all collectively would be like, I'm not cut. Like I was not cut from that cloth to be able to deal with that. But I do think some people are more equipped to deal with that loss type of like pain. That than others. And I know that like I would just be a nuisance to society at that point. Like if something happened to my child, like just go ahead and take me out too.
I like, literally can't.
And for you, I can't even imagine like having multiple children because for me, I just have one. So it's like something happened. If God forbid something happened to my child, just go ahead and take me out.
But when you have to live for other, like I'm not comparing, but I'm just saying like, you know, my grandparents lost their daughter when she was 18 years old. Like you raised her until you were 18. She didn't even leave your fucking house yet. And now she's dead and you have to be alive for 3 more kids. Like, and continue and try. No, absolutely not.
I just couldn't imagine like losing my child and then having other children that depended on me and knowing that like I had to emotionally be there for them.
Nope.
Go ahead and take me out.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Let's talk about summer. I do not want to be taking any extra time out of my schedule to drive somewhere and sit somewhere in a waiting room or something, feel uncomfortable, and then take the time to drive back home. Wherever I am, I want to get my therapy so that I can feel good and go back to exactly what I was doing with the kids or maybe working on a project, whatever that looks like, because I want the benefits of, you know, a clear mind, strategy, coping skills, all of those things. I want to be my best self, but I also don't want to take all this extra time. You know what I mean?
With BetterHelp, I feel like it has been able to fit into the schedule absolutely perfectly. Mm-hmm. And you're not having to worry about taking time driving somewhere and driving back plus doing the therapy. That's like a lot of investment. And sometimes we don't feel like we even have an hour for a therapy session, let alone like 3 to do all of the driving that you have to do. So I feel like BetterHelp is such a great addition to my life for forever. So if you're thinking about giving or starting therapy, you need to give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule, which it just very much is. And it's simple. You just fill out a brief questionnaire. You're going to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. I know that Kail and I have talked a lot about sometimes when you get matched with a therapist initially, might not work forever. And I love that they have that flexibility to be able to switch therapists if it's just not working for you. So if you're looking to find more balance, you can do that with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/coffee today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/coffee. Speaking of just like morbid stuff, well, actually, I'm not about to speak of morbid something. I just wanted to say that people sent me so many messages, and you probably got these same messages, that obviously you and I are just like fortune tellers or something. We talked about sex talks with
Sue Johansson, and she fucking passed away the next day.
She literally the day that the episode aired was the day that the news came out that she passed away.
How fucking crazy is that?
And
well,
I'm
rest
just like,
in peace.
Sue. And like, you know what? Like, yes, rest in peace. And like, I miss her already.
I truly hope that she lived her best entire life. And I hope that she's fucking dancing in the clouds right now, because she was just a force to be reckoned with.
For those of you who don't know who Sue Johansson is, she was a nurse who
was she a nurse?
Loved to slap around dildos. And she became this popular TV sex expert in Canada,
if you will.
A sexpert in Canada and the United States. And that started when she was in her 60s. And then she passed away, God rest her soul and bless her heart, at 93 years old, after a long decline, evidently. It says that people delighted in calling into the Sunday night sex show and its American counterpart, Talk Sex with Sue Johansson.
Talk
Questions
sex, yep.
about obscure acts and fetishes and hopes of shocking and in hopes of basically like shocking her. So I don't feel like she was ever shocked. I feel like she was a very strong woman.
She was always stoic about like,
so yeah.
Even when she tried to be shocked, it was more like, like that was her show was the first time I ever heard of people calling in and telling her that they used Icy Hot for sex. And she would like be shocked, but like she like wasn't. Like she just.
But she wasn't. Like she'd
be like, that's not a good idea.
There is a quote that is on this article that I read, and it says, Sue paved the way for the way we talk about sex right now. She had a huge influence on sex educators that are now in public that are operating on social media. And I just want to say, like, shout out to Sue Johansson, shout out to Call Her Daddy, because you have like paved the way for us to be out here talking about dildies like on our podcast and the bullshit
No
that
shame.
we do. And like, we don't have any shame about it. But one interesting quote that I saw on here, and then we can like completely move on. And I need to know your thoughts because I feel like you're going to disagree. What she said at one point, and this was when she was discussing the anatomy of female pleasure. What people don't realize is that penis size does not matter because the top 2/3 of the vagina has no nerve endings. There's nobody home up there. I can't get behind that. I don't think that that's true.
I'm going to do an experiment when I get home, and I'm going to get back to you next week.
If you're not hitting my cervix, go home.
No, but literally.
Like,
I do agree with that. But I'm also going to just for shits and gigs, I need to do an experiment. So I'm going to get back to you on that.
Can you tell me like what it's going to be?
So I'm going to use a toy, and I'm just going to like insert partially? And just like see. Yeah, I'm going to use different size ones and just see like what I'm feeling at each point.
Will you get back to us and let us know like exactly, like, are you going to be taking notes? Like,
yeah,
how are
I
we
am.
going to, okay.
Yeah,
that's going to be odd. You probably should lock your door, honestly.
Oh, my kids are going to their dad's, so they're going today. I can barely keep my eyes open because I'm so fucking tired. I am not on drugs. I'm so tired from this migraine.
Migraine.
So,
that migraine.
Yes.
Okay, so we have to talk about Natalia Grace because when I tell you last week, Kail, the amount of time that I invested in looking up everything that I could find about Natalia Grace. When I tell you, I watched the documentary.
The Dr.
Phil special. I Google searched, read all these articles. Highly alarmed. And like, it was one of those shows that I feel like you couldn't stop watching because like you needed more information to the next episode. And if you stopped watching, you weren't getting it right away. And it left you like on cliffhangers every episode, right?
Yes. I also want to say that watching the documentary, I was dead set in my feelings up until episode 3 or 4. And then everything started to change for me. And then I still feel like I'm left with a lot of questions. And I wonder if I didn't see if she had social media. I kind of want to see if she has social media.
Before we start talking about her, I just wanted to say that according to Washington.edu, the terms person of short stature, little person, and dwarf are commonly used in the United States to refer to a person with a medical condition called dwarfism. Although preferred terms vary by person and community, according to Little People of America website, many people who experience dwarfism prefer the term little person. So with that being said, I'm going to refer to Natalia as a little person.
Okay. I'll do the same.
If you guys have not watched this documentary, highly recommend watching it. You are going to be very invested. So make sure that you are carving out enough time to fully watch it because you're going to want to watch from like episode to episode. I think it was on Max, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, very good. I thought they did very well doing the documentary. There was a lot of information on there that I was kind of like mind blown about. And I was like, wait, how do they get all of that information to like put together a documentary? Did you feel like that at all?
Yeah, I was surprised that, was his name Michael? I was surprised that he was so willing to even do it.
I have my theories on that, but I'm going to start out with the fact that Natalia Grace was adopted by, what were these people's last
Well,
names?
she was brought over to the U.S. from the Ukraine.
Yes.
Her mom had her and was allegedly said that basically she wasn't worth keeping, essentially, and she didn't have the money in the Ukraine to give Natalia the lifestyle and the medical care that she would have needed. And so she was sent to the United States, and she went to a family, I believe was it Idaho, or where was the first
I can't remember
family?
the location
She
of
went
the
to
first family, but she was there for not long, right?
Right. And then the family then places Natalia back up for adoption, which the facts and the circumstances regarding that are still kind of vague and very unknown. Like, there was not a lot of information. So when Michael and his wife, go to this janky, weird adoption agency, they're presented with this little girl, Natalia Grace, and they welcome her with open arms, but not for long.
Well, okay, so not until I watched the Dr. Phil special did I gather that, because it was kind of unclear about the history, and what I wanted to know was, like, how many homes had this child been placed in before she actually made it to the Barnetts. And on the Dr. Phil special, she said that she believes that she had been with roughly 30 families.
But I don't know that I think that's what she was told.
And
unless she's counting like foster families.
Well, I think she's counting the foster families, which would be fair if you had been placed, in homes with people from like place to place to place. I feel like along the way, at some point, we should probably post a trigger warning in the episode description for this, because I do feel like along the way, at some point, she was sexually molested.
You think that?
I do.
What makes you think that?
Because I actually think that she's a child, and I believe that she is a child. And I believe that some of the sexual stuff that was covered in the documentary about her trying to touch boys, I think it's from experience that she had.
Right, because they say sometimes, or a lot of times, when you are sexually assaulted or molested as a child, you go on to do the same things to others.
Yes.
Not always, but it can and does happen. That would be the only explanation that I could have for that. Although I was wondering, like, I guess the boy probably did not want to relive any of that and be a part of it, because he did decline. The family declined him to comment on the documentary and things like that. But I also believe that she was a child, and I believe that she was in fact born in the 2000s, and she is a young adult today. I don't think that she was a young adult as the Barnetts claimed.
Why would the mother that they interviewed lie, number one, about that being her child, biologically birthed her? Why would she lie about the year that she did that?
Well, and I think
what's she gaining?
She gains nothing. I don't think she got paid to put this baby up for adoption. I don't think that she gained absolutely nothing. And in fact, it wasn't until the end of the documentary where I was actually extremely heartbroken for the mother, because you could tell how much pain she was in. Mm-hmm. And she breaks down, and this is, going on for years and years and years, and there's nothing that she can do about it. And, she says that if she would have known that this was the life that Natalia was going to live, then she wouldn't have done it.
Which would be so horrible, because when you're in a situation to where you feel like you're having a child and you can't take this child on, and you know that you're not equipped to do this, and you place your child up for adoption, the hope is that your child is going to be placed with a family that can take on whatever the challenge is, right?
Medical responsibilities, unconditional love, therapies, whatever the case may be.
And I personally believe that adoption is supposed to be a permanent solution. Mm-hmm. And that's regardless of whatever issues that you're going to face with the child that you're adopting. Just like as parents to our biological children, right? We have our children, we raise them, and you don't know what types of issues that you're going to deal with along the way. And you don't neglect your kids because you're dealing with those types of issues. And I just feel like that maybe the Barnetts were not prepared to take this child on.
They treated her as like the family scapegoat. And I'm not sure if you're super familiar with that, but someone I dated was the family scapegoat. And, you know, the trauma that he would tell me about his childhood and being blamed for everything, and everyone would take their anger out on him, whether he was involved or not, is just, that is exactly who I thought of when I watched the entire Natalia Grace documentary.
Kind of like I've been publicly blamed for everything, but
everything is your fault, Lindsie.
I often wondered, and it kept popping into my head as I'm watching this, was there some type of incentive for the Barnetts to take her? And like,
a government check?
Was this like an adoption scam that got like out of control? Like they couldn't handle it. They weren't prepared and equipped. I don't know. Like, I just feel like these parents, like, I don't trust Michael. I don't trust Christine. I don't want to say that I don't trust the son that was in the documentary, but I do feel like due to his autism diagnosis that he possibly could have been getting information from the parents. And I feel like if they said it enough, that made it like real for his reality.
Well, and he says that, you know, he believed his parents and did what his mom told him to do. And so that's why he had so much regret for some of the things that he did, because now that he's been removed from the situation, I think that he was able to kind of reflect, with or without autism. I think when you become an adult and, you know, when you become an older person and you look back, you're able to say like, that was wrong of me, or, you know, I was manipulated into believing certain things, or I was manipulated into doing certain things. And I do think that Christine was very manipulative to everyone in that household.
I think she was a manipulator. I believe she's a narcissist, and I believe that she's a hypochondriac.
I don't believe that Michael was as useless and helpless as he claims. I definitely think that he participated way more than he let on. And I just, for me, I don't care how much I love my partner or how much I'm afraid of my partner. If it comes down to choosing myself or a child who is helpless, whether she was an adult or a child, you know, she was essentially helpless because she was their child. So whether they believe that or not, I'm choosing the child every time. I'm not going to choose myself. I'm not going to stand by and watch while this other person who I'm supposed to care for and love abuses the fuck out of them and let that go on for years and years and years. That's just never, like, that's not, I don't care how much you love your partner.
That's never going to happen. And if you love your partner enough and the way that you should love your partner enough to call them out on their bullshit. And if this is what was going on, this should have been called out. And I feel like you're just as guilty as the person that's doing it when you're unwilling to take a stand.
I agree. At that point, you should have called CPS on your own wife, and you should have had, you know what I mean? Because you're abusing this. Like, I can't get behind it. All right, you guys, I got to remind you about Rocket Money. This is formerly known as Truebill, and Lindsie and I have talked about this for years. It was actually how Kristen and I were able to save money to pay for my pool, my in-ground pool, without having to take a loan out, which was really, really nice. They have a smart savings feature, which is awesome, and you can just use it whenever you want, however you want, and it truly has saved me so much money, and I love it, and I recommend it to everyone.
Kail, I remember when you got so into this, and I was like, what exactly is that? Because evidently I also need to be doing that. And I have something that I'm saving for that's really big right now. So I'm excited.
And I can explain the feeling of when you hit each of your savings goals, like whether it's weekly, monthly, whatever, that feeling is just like pure dopamine.
It's truly It's so amazing. Like I love it so much. If you guys have not heard of Rocket Money and don't know what we're talking about, it is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. And for me, I just feel like I love it because you can do everything right there. Like you don't have to be using your brain in all other different directions. Like this is absolutely perfect. And over 80% of the people that have subscriptions have forgotten about it. And chances are you're one of them. And over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, saving the average person up to $720 a year. So be like us and just stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/coffeeconvos. That's rocketmoney.com/coffeeconvos, rocketmoney.com/coffeeconvos.
You think Vanderpump Rules is messy now?
It's always been messy. I'm Jax Taylor, the OG Pump Rules villain.
And I'm Brittany Cartwright, wife of the OG villain. And we've got a new podcast, When Reality Hits.
We'll definitely be talking about Vanderpump Rules, past and present, and oh my, Scandival.
Ugh. And you'll get a look at what life is like for us now as we figure out marriage and parenthood. Little cruisy.
And friendships, and definitely feuds.
It's our real reality, with and without cameras.
And sometimes with special guests like our celeb friends, former castmates, and other veterans of reality TV.
So listen to and follow When Reality Hits with us, Jax Taylor and Brittany Cartwright.
At Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I also do not believe in, and I feel this way in my dating relationship, future marriage, whatever, unless I can love somebody else's children as I love mine. Obviously, there's a biological connection that cannot be
replaced or replicated. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that will always be there with the child that I birthed.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can't treat another child or children fairly as I do my own, then I should be woman enough to step away from that situation.
Agreed. I agree with that.
And in this case, I feel like Natalia was brought into this family and was not accepted like as their own. She was just like this orphan child. And the amount of psychological warfare that was going on, her like pooping on herself and then made to stand like against the wall when she can't even like stand good. I mean, think about her little legs.
Well, and then she would get in trouble for soiling herself while she was on the wall, but she wasn't allowed to go to the bathroom. So being blamed that she did it on purpose, no, literally I'm a 31-year-old adult and I can't hold my own bowel movements. Like, what?
Like, that's so crazy. And then like also the psychological warfare that was, you know, not only damaging to Natalia as the victim, but also the perpetrator, which was their autistic son, who was directed to pee like on her bed
stuff. Mm-hmm.
and stuff by direction. In my opinion, both of those children, that's psychological warfare against both of those kids.
I agree.
And that is abuse in every form.
It's almost, I mean, it's everything that you just said, but also to have your child who is now diagnosed with autism do that, he's already going through enough.
Yeah. Like that to me is abuse against a child who potentially like, I don't know, you know, everything's spectrum now. So he could be,
you don't know where he falls on the spectrum. You don't know. Right.
But to direct a child to do something that is autistic, you shouldn't be directing any type of
child to do that. First of all, she should have had all her kids taken from her.
Every single one of those children should have been taken because it's abuse in different forms against all of these kids. The only thing that like made me question if she was an adult was the pubic hair and the period.
Yep. So the period I think was debunked because there was actually, they never found evidence of that actually occurring.
Okay. Well, the parents who have Natalia now that were on the Dr. Phil special with her
said that she still doesn't have a period.
She still doesn't have a period. So why would they be lying about that?
I don't think she has a period, especially given, you know, some of her health conditions and things like that. Also, if she had a period, I feel like, I mean, I know when I got my period, I was in 6th grade, you know, like I would know, she would be able to know. As far as the pubic hair goes, I feel like I got pubic hair around, I know I had it in 7th grade because don't get me started on that, but I know I had it in 7th grade. So in 7th grade, you're roughly 12, 13 years old. I don't remember how soon before that I had it. Like, I don't remember when I started getting it.
I don't remember.
But
like I couldn't even comment on it because I don't know.
I don't even think that they had proof of that either.
But then here was another thing, because I had a question about the teeth. Like, that was like a big thing. I'm like, I want Natalia Grace's dental records. Like, I want all of the info. But it made me think, they were talking about like her losing teeth and stuff. You could be 4 years old and lose a tooth, or you could be like Jackson, who didn't lose a tooth, his first tooth, until he was 8 years old.
Right.
So like losing teeth early could be a sign of some type of like genetic disposition, or poor prenatal care. You don't know. And so I've always heard, my parents always told me, and it could just be like an old wives' tale or a myth, but if you have a baby, you want them to like not get their teeth super early.
Yeah, it's better for them to get them later.
And you don't want them to fall out super early.
Right. And actually, if you have a child that is like missing teeth for like years and years and years, whether it's due to like trauma or something, they definitely do prefer to get like a flipper or something as like a placeholder, because it thins out your
Gum line
and your bone. I don't know if this whole thing is your jaw, but like your whatever. So they do recommend getting like flippers or placeholders for your teeth. And so that's very possible too. Like, you don't know what happened in all these other families, foster care, trauma, you know, bike injuries. I know people have knocked out their teeth bike riding and things like that. Like, I don't know. But I don't remember them commenting on her dental records. I feel like they commented on everything except their
They didn't comment on her dental records. I just wanted them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I just want doctors now dental records so that I can like get somebody that's smart enough to read them, because we know that I'm not. They did comment on her teeth though, and that, you know, like she had adult teeth and whatever. And it's like, okay, well, to me, that's not an indication of anything like whatsoever. I did want to comment on the videos that were of Natalia when she was like, they were reading the Bible and saying all the things that she was saying. I know as a parent that Jackson's like said stuff that I wanted to catch on video, and I could go back and be like, what did you say? And like re-video something. To me, it felt like maybe, and again, I wasn't there. This is just like hypothetically, this could have happened. What if she was like telling her what to say on these videos and then just like catching stuff on video?
First of all, why the fuck did she put certain things in? I'm not recording my kids being like, I've recorded my kids doing like funny things that are bad that I probably shouldn't record them doing, but it's like funny. And then it's like, okay, never do that again. But like, I'm not, if my kid is like crying and like I'm trying to like coerce them to say something or do something, like I'm not recording those things. If my kid's being punished for something or disciplined for something, what the fuck are you doing?
That's the word I was looking for.
It's like
I feel like she might have been like coerced, and like these videos seemed very like bully like. Yeah, it was
like
really
you're
bullying
weird.
Your own kid.
It was really weird. I didn't like it at all.
Also, just wanted to comment on the apartment too. Like, to me, that is, when I watched the footage of Natalia in that apartment, it just looked like a little kid. And I don't say that because she's a little person. I say that because of the mannerisms and the things. It's like she's laying on the couch with a blanket, you know, watching TV, answering her dad, like something
even
that
the
maybe
answers
like,
that she was giving would be like kid answers.
Like my 10-year-old would give.
Yeah. Like, and then making up excuse, like the excuse about the donuts, like lying about that. That is very much like what if my kids thought they were going to get in trouble for something, they very much would have said something along those same lines. And then I would have been like, now, you know, that's not the truth. Like what was it really? Like that sounded very much like a very childlike answer and lie.
And, you know, the little neighbor that was being interviewed, she was like the old lady. And there was she had the grandsons or whatever that were playing the video games, and they said that Natalia came in and tried to like touch on them or whatever. I just feel like something's happened to her like along the way.
Because why would she know how to do that or want to do that or have the urge to do that? I agree.
The urge to do that. And in different situations, right? So like,
and her not knowing it's wrong because she probably, it happened to her. She wouldn't have known, or maybe she felt like it was wrong, but she wouldn't have known if it actually was before she gets bounced to the next family. And so maybe it happened more than once by more than one person. And so as a child, you're processing these things. You don't know, how, if it is wrong or, things like that.
I'm going to go with my final answer on this is I do think that she was a child.
Agreed.
I do think that the biological mother that was on the documentary speaking told the truth. I'm going to be very interested to see the documentary that comes out on Natalia's side.
I agree.
Which is soon. Didn't they say like in
Did
the
they
fall
announce a date
or something? I feel like it was said like the fall.
I almost wish, and obviously this is like wishful thinking, I wish that they released them as like a part 1, part 2.
Like in tandem.
Because I don't like that they have given, the Barnetts all of this time to kind of, I don't know. Like, I just wish that her side was able to come out quicker, but maybe they didn't get wind of this other documentary first. Like, I don't know. And
I also just feel like the system failed Natalia. Like,
100%. Every single doctor, caregiver, CPS, cop, neighbor, every single person failed Natalia. And yes, I agree that some of her behaviors were weird. I don't believe the knife thing. I don't believe she tried to kill them or poison them or anything like that. And for those reasons, I do believe that, she was failed by every single person.
I agree. And, whoever it was that approved for her birth date to be changed on her birth certificate to age her to another age, my theory on that is that the Barnetts didn't want her anymore. And I think they wanted to try to age her to where she was old enough to where they wouldn't be legally responsible for her. And they wanted some type of legal document to cover their own ass and then just like throw her out like she's just garbage. Turn a blind eye. Which
was weird too, because then to turn around, like you're constantly looking over your shoulder, like making sure she's not talking to certain people or certain people aren't interviewing her. It's like, you just did yourself a disservice. Like, why not just go place her back up for adoption if that's what you were going to do? And I'm not saying that was, well, at this point, I do think it might be better. Any place would have been better than the Barnetts because they literally sound like hell on earth.
And like the other families that, wanted to adopt her, I feel like that was very telling too, that, they thought that stuff was suspect. Like, you cannot convince me that Michael did not participate more than what he let on. He should try to go to Hollywood because he definitely...
No, he should never go to Hollywood because I won't believe none of his fucking lies.
He definitely needs to sign up for acting classes because he's just not good at it.
Wait. There's one more thing I need to touch on.
What?
Remember in the documentary when the piss thing comes up where the kid talks about, I think his name is Jacob, he pissed on all her bed sheets and things like that? But that's not what he was talking about. There was something about him pushing her or dragging her down the stairs that never gets finished talking about.
Yeah, I know.
What the fuck was that?
First of all, like, you shouldn't be pushing and dragging anybody down the stairs, but a child who is disabled that like literally cannot defend themselves has a hard time walking. Could you imagine like
punting someone down the stairs like that or like dropping her down? No. I just needed to touch on that.
You have to be some other type of fucked up to do stuff like that. That's awful.
Horrible.
So for those of you who have not watched this documentary,
please go watch it.
Want to join in on RBS. I'm going to continue talking about this with the Kitty Gang. You can just join us.
Just join us.
If not, and you don't care about watching it, then don't and find something else to watch. But I would highly recommend you watch it. If you have not followed us on Coffee Combos Podcast on Instagram. Make sure you follow us over there. And if you have not subscribed to the show, you can do that from any podcast app, wherever you get your podcast. Always first at Podcast One. We hope you guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
See ya.